The 7 biggest mistakes new real estate investors make when buying the first investment property. Steps number 6 and number 7 are pro and advanced steps, but you can still do them. Why? Because if I was able to do them, you're definitely more than able to do them as well. Okay, biggest mistake number 1, getting the wrong realtor. You need to be able to buy a property and you need the help of a realtor who at least have 2 or 3 rental properties under his belt. Why? Why do you think that's important? Because a realtor who has experience with real estate investment understands you and understands what you're looking for. If you get any realtor just because they have the license, they're going to try to sell you a house just because it's cute. That's the wrong reason to buy a rental property. You want a property that's going to pay you cash flow every month, positive cash flow every single month. A property that brings enough cash flow to cover all the expenses, the mortgage, taxes, insurance, and all the maintenance, and still give you positive cash flow every month. Okay, if you get the wrong realtor, he's gonna try to sell you any house. Why? Because he just wants to earn a commission. Once he gets a commission and once he closes on the deal, he will disappear. Do you want that? Do you want a realtor who disappears just after he did the transaction? No, you want to establish a good working relationship with one and create a team. That way you can do it again and again and again. So get a realtor who has experience. Okay, mistakes number 2. This is the second mistake, not getting pre-approved. If you don't get pre-approved by a mortgage broker, you won't know how much the lender is gonna lend you. You need to be able to know how much the lender is gonna lend you, and a good realtor is just gonna help you with that as well. They're gonna recommend you to the mortgage broker who has closed on the deals. Now you wanna know how much the lender is gonna bring to the table, like how much they're gonna let you borrow, and also he will let you know how much you have to bring to the table. It's usually 3% for the closing cost, so you need to add that to your down payment. If your down payment is 3.5%, like an FHA or like a conventional loan, then you know that. So 3% plus 3%, that's 6% or whatever the amount of the property cost. So a good mortgage broker will give you a pre-approval letter, and with that, you know how much you need to bring to the table. So make sure you get a mortgage broker who also has experience with real estate investor, and make sure you tell them you don't want only one deal and that's it. You want to be able to buy many properties. So to tell you advices on what you need to do to prepare yourself to have all the documents you need and how do you qualify to not just getting one loan, but how to get future loans as well. Okay, mistake number 3, you don't buy the property. What does that mean? Mistake number 3, you don't buy the property. Okay, first of all, you need to make offers and make lots of offers. Make offers on the properties that fit your criteria. You make the offers, you put the property under contract, and you buy the property. So you want to make sure you're going to buy a property that pays you cash flow every single month. And that property needs to be in the right location, with the right price, and with the right rent amount. What does that mean? You have to know how much the rent is getting paid for a 3 bedroom, for a 2 bedroom, for a 1 bedroom, for a fourth bedroom. And you also need to know how many units you want. Now, let me ask you a question. Which is better? A fourplex that has 4 units and each bringing $1,000 a month? Or a single family for the same amount, for the same cost, that only has 1 unit? So usually the more units, the safer it is for you. Why? If you get 4 units, each bringing $1,000 a month, that means you're earning how much? How much you bringing in rental income? $4,000 a month, right? Of course, that's much better than just one single family getting only, let's say, $2,000 a month. Why is that better? Because if one of the 4 units in the fourplex gets vacant, you still get 3 units rented, 75% rented. What does that mean? You're still bringing in $3,000 a month. That helps you cover mortgage, taxes, and insurance and other maintenance, right? Most probably. But if you get the single family and it gets vacant, now how much are you getting every month? Zero, sick, nada, nothing. You get nothing every month. 0% rented, 100% vacant. So how are you gonna pay for the property, mortgage, taxes, insurance, and all those? Out of pocket. So it's better to have more units. The more units, the safer it is. Also more work, but I prefer that over just one unit. Now, I'm a fan of all of them. One single family or duplex or triplex or fourplex. I like them all because I know how to make them all work. But to start, it's better if you have more units, right? If you live in one of the units and rent the other three, you probably live like mortgage free. Your tenants are paying for your mortgage. So you gotta buy right, like my real estate mentor taught me. Carlos, you gotta buy right. What does that mean to buy right? Well, okay. It means you gotta buy in the right location for the right amount and for the right rent, and also to the right tenant. That's what it means. You gotta buy right. Okay, so that's the biggest mistake people make. They don't buy right. So would you like to learn how to buy right? Comment below what are your biggest obstacles about buying a property. What would you like to know more about buying a property? Number 4, you gotta fix the things that need fixing to be able to rent the property. This is one of the biggest mistakes real estate investors make. They don't want to fix things because it costs them money. Another question for you is, who do you want to become, or what do you need to learn to be able to fix things inexpensively? That's a question that I asked myself because in the beginning I didn't know anything, so I had to hire people. And then when they fixed something, it was still broken. So I had to learn to fix things myself. Okay? I recommend that if you're handy or if you're not handy, you can learn to be handy. Hey, I learned to be handy. You can do it too. Okay, fix the things that need fixing. Why? You don't want to rent a property that is broken because it's only going to create conflict with your tenants. You're going to say, hey, when I rented, it was like that. So I didn't do that. And how are you going to tell them, hey, it wasn't broken when you first came in? If some things were broken, they're going to expect everything to be broken and they're going to blame you for it. You don't want that. You want to make sure in the pre-inspection before the moving, like everything is in excellent condition, excellent condition, excellent condition. Why? Because you want to deliver a great product and you want the tenant to have a reputation of you like this is the best landlord I ever had. You don't want to get the reputation of a slumlord, somebody who owns the property and rent it, but they don't fix anything. Do you want that? I don't want that. I don't recommend you do that. Why? Because you want to keep a tenant for a long time. One of the main reasons a tenant leaves is because the landlord doesn't fix things. You don't want that. You don't want a vacant property. Okay? That is the biggest mistake, number 4. Now, okay, how do you fix things and make it tenant proof? And what does tenant proof mean? Tenant proof means fixing things in a way that is hard for a tenant to break. What does that mean? For example, if you fix the flooring and you put vinyl flooring, those don't break. Those are very hard to break, and those are also waterproof. But what if you put tiles? Tiles do break. So if the tenant breaks the tiles, it's very expensive to repair, and it's going to create problems. It's going to cost you a lot of money, and the tenant is not going to be happy because the tiles are broken. They're not fixed. You don't want that. So fix it good and make it tenant proof. Put vinyl flooring in them. It's waterproof. It costs less money than tiles. It costs less materials, less labor, and also lasts forever. And also increase the value of your property. So you want that. Now, if one of your properties has a leaky water valve, like in the vanity or the toilet or the shower valve, you want to fix those things. Why? A water leak, even if it's small, is gonna break your bank. It's going to create so much trouble and so much damage. It's going to be very costly. You don't want that. Fix it before the tenant moves in. Why? You don't want a water leak. You don't want to also ruin the relationship that you have with your tenant. How is it going to be ruined? You tell the tenant, hey, it wasn't leaking before you got in, so it was you who broke it. I'm like, the tenant, me? How did I break that? It was broken. It was leaking since I first moved in. You don't want that. You want to fix things good before the tenants come in and fix it with the best material ever to make it tenant proof. So nothing is broken when they come in. Okay. So that's one of the biggest mistakes people make. They don't fix what's broken and they just want to rent and collect the money. Don't do that. Fix everything and make it tenant proof. You want to learn how to make things tenant proof? I could show you that. I can show you many ways you can save a lot of money and make it tenant proof. Okay, so that is 4. Now number 5, rent to the right tenant. What does that mean, rent to the right tenant? You don't want a bad tenant in your property. Why you don't want a bad tenant in your property? It's gonna make your life miserable. It's gonna make you hate real estate investing, and you're gonna hate anything related with the property. You don't want that. You wanna love the asset, the golden goose that lays the golden eggs. So you want to rent to the right tenant. A right tenant will make your asset an asset that pay you every month. It will pay you rent every month, right? A bad tenant will turn an asset into a liability. A bad tenant doesn't pay, doesn't take care of the property, doesn't communicate, is rude or dirty or breaks the lease or gives you trouble. You don't want that. You want a good tenant who pays on time, who takes care of the property, and who stays for a long time. Because a tenant that is not there, meaning a property vacant without a tenant in it, doesn't give you any money. You collect $0 every month. So to pay all the mortgages, taxes, and insurance, you will have to be out of pocket. You don't want that. That's the whole purpose of real estate investing, is that the tenant covers all those expenses, and on top of that, you get cash flow, monthly cash flow every month. Okay, so make sure you get a tenant who's a good tenant, who has a history of being a good tenant, who has no problems with the law, who has no issues with the background check, who has a history of paying on time, who's got a good credit. Do you want to know how to find those good tenants? Do you want to know how to screen them properly so you know who you're renting to? I could show you that right below. What is the part that you're more interested in learning and knowing? And I will be more than happy to share with you what I know. What I do want to here is create a community of real estate investors where we all learn and benefit and answer each other's questions. I would like to do that. I would like to do that for you. Why? Because I've been there. I needed help. I had questions. I didn't have anybody to answer. I could be that person for you, and other people can come in and also help each other out, right? This is the type of community that I want to create. Now, another reason why you want a good tenant. You want a good tenant who's going to stay forever, a long time. You want a tenant who's going to pay your mortgage. Yeah, I had tenants who have been with me for 12 years. So that tenant has paid the mortgage twice. The first time, and then I did a refinance, and now they're paying it twice. So almost done paying the mortgage twice. Okay, that's the type of tenant you want. A tenant who's gonna stay for a long time. And whenever they have issues, they communicate in a cordial way. That way, you love to help them. That way, you love having a respectful relationship with them. Okay. Now, a bad tenant can make your life miserable, and a horrible tenant, a nightmare tenant, you have to evict them fast. Why do you have to evict a tenant fast? You have to evict them before they evict you from your property and your business. What does that mean? If you don't evict a tenant who's not paying you, who's breaking the house rules, who's breaking the lease, who's destroying your property, that tenant is evicting you from your business. Do you want that? You don't want that. You want to make sure you have good tenants that you feel good when you think about them, right? Okay, me too. I can show you how to properly screen a good tenant. Do you want to know more about this? Right below, let's create a community where we answer each other questions and we grow together. Also, let me know what is the biggest obstacle you want to overcome, the biggest obstacle about real estate investing that has blocking you from moving forward. Okay, steps number 6 and number 7 are surprise steps, a little more advanced, but I can give them to you as well. So right in the bottom below that you want a free report that has all the complete steps, and I will include steps number 6 and number 7, the biggest mistakes most investors make that prevent them from investing in real estate investment properties. I will include that. Follow the link below and I will send it to you.